Big part of my job is going out and talking to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, particularly those who are elderly.
Joshua Creamer is a barrister specialising in native title and human rights cases. He's travelled the country hearing history firsthand.
Sitting down with those people, learning their stories, I could feel the hurt, not just from the experience, but the continual denial of that they even existed, that their experience was even real.
Joshua is among the voices in a new documentary by Indigenous filmmakers which traces policies of oppression from the time of the first settlers.
This is not about reconciliation. This is about a reckoning with the truth of our past.
The reckoning begins with photos like these, chains around their necks, chained to each other.
There was just this period of absolute brutality, and in some parts in the Northern Territory and WA, for example, I just describe the period as lawlessness.
And that's an understatement. Between 1788 and 1930, there were more than 300 massacres of First Nations people, mostly so their land could be taken and farmed.
Australia's got this romanticised notion that our wealth was built on the back of pastoralists who toiled for years and years and days and built these huge pastoral stations, but there were hundreds and hundreds of Aboriginal people on these stations working, toiling away for often 14 hours a day, men, women, children, working under the extreme conditions. And you understand that labour then went into building our wealth as a country.
The most devastating of policies was the forced removal of children that began in the mid-1800s and continued for more than a century.
It wasn't about protecting Aborigines, it was about protecting a workforce. So unlimited movement, people couldn't just get up and walk around. They were basically incarcerated on these missions where every facet of their life was controlled.
In missions across Queensland, children lived in dormitories away from their parents. Education stopped at grade 4.
At the age of 12 or 13, you were then sent out to work. When you're working, your wages weren't given to you directly. They were ultimately paid to the state, and the state kept those wages.
My forefather and foremothers were on the first and second fleets. It was a pretty brutal place, but there was no slavery in Australia.
Not only were people working under slave-like conditions, but the law in certain instances required them to be slaves. They lost the opportunity to start building wealth, to pass that on to their children, and now to their grandchildren. And that's the reason why we have this entrenched disadvantage.
When missions closed in the 60s and 70s, there was a migration to the cities.
Highly visible because of the colour of their skin, difficult to find work if your education's so poor.
So in urban Australia, they became the target of harsh new law and order policies.
Up here in the Northern Territory, you don't get a second chance. Under mandatory sentencing, if you're age 17 and above and you steal something or damage someone's property, you go straight to jail.
First Nations people are 3.3% of our total population, but 29% of male prisoners are Indigenous. Indigenous women account for just over a third. And with more mothers than ever behind bars, a record number of children are being placed in child protection.
If we continue to break down families, if we continue to incarcerate Indigenous people at such extremely high numbers, that's going to have an impact on the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren going forward.
Sit down and shut up! Arrest her.
When it comes to youth detention, more than half of those in custody are Indigenous. Those atrocities are often recorded in living, breathing colour.
Don't put him in my mouth, I can't breathe.
Tasers used on a 14-year-old. Dylan Voller, assaulted, hooded and bound to a chair.
We started out as a penal colony and we've continued to be one ever since.
Everyone was fine. Yeah, that's good. No worries. All right, doing well.
How do you survive in a place that is intent on perpetrating violence against you, regardless of what you do, how good you are, how compliant you become?
So you gonna shoot a brother in the back? Black mother at a doorstep. Impale a brother on a tall fence. Another brother shakes till he got no life left. Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
As Indigenous people, we don't want anything different to anyone else. An opportunity for an education for our kids, to live in a suitable accommodation, and we haven't been able to have the same aspirations, same opportunities as everyone else.
As a young policeman, Inspector Jeff Regan felt the sting of discrimination, and he hasn't forgotten it.
The sergeant came and said, "Where you go?" I said, "I'll go and put my food in the fridge." And he said, "You're not putting it in our fridge." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You bungs, you cook differently. You're not putting your food in there. You go and get another fridge and clean it out, and you can put your food in there." So I went out the back into the storeroom and got a little fridge and took it down the back and washed it out. And that was my fridge. You know, so make you feel subhuman.
That's hard to watch. Yeah. My heart is going about 1,000,000 miles an hour. And there's so many points to pick up on. We talk about incarceration rates. You're not seeing white kids getting jailed for stealing a bottle of water. You're trying to find a way to rehabilitate them. You're asking, what are the reasons why they ended up stealing that bottle of water? You're not just throwing the long arm of the law at them, are you? You saw the footage of that young fella who was bound up, looked like Guantanamo Bay.
Dylan Bollis.
Yeah, that's not on, but that happens in our country. And we talk about a sense of truth-telling. We talk about, needing to accept where we've come from to be able to move forward. This country still can't accept that it's a racist country. This country still can't accept that it's built off the back of slavery. It's built off the back of dispossession. It's built off the back of rape and pillage of Indigenous people. It's really hard to watch and really hard to reconcile with, and we've just got to be better.
Yeah. Incarceration Nation will air on NITV this Sunday night at 8:30 and then on SBS On Demand. For more information on the film and how you can get involved, just head to the links page on our website.